Everyone is saying the same thing, that you have to get up at 5 a.m., that you have to be disciplined, that you have to meditate, that you have to cut out all distractions, and that you have to have a clean diet, and all these kinds of things. But if that was all it took to actually be ahead of the majority of people, wouldn't everyone be ahead? Because when you think about it, there's a lot of people waking up at 5 a.m. There is a lot of people meditating, and there is a lot of people that are not addicted to their phone, but you don't see them as successful, perhaps. A lot of people are doing the same thing, chasing their dreams, following the same people, and still wondering why they are lost. And very easily said, one way to get ahead of the majority of people around you is to stop following somebody else's path. Stop copying what other people around you are doing if you don't want to end up like the people around you. Now, before we get on with this video on how to get ahead of the majority of people around you, I want to talk about what being behind in life actually means, because I personally don't believe in the term being behind in life. And don't get me wrong, I felt like this for the majority of my life. There is no such thing as being behind in life. There's just wrong directions. And the reason why people take the wrong directions and do the wrong decisions is not because they're lazy or they don't have the perfect routine or they are not disciplined enough. It is simply because they don't think for themselves anymore. Being curious in our own journey has completely disappeared. Nowadays, when somebody is creating their own journey, for a lot of people, it looks the exact same, and therefore they're not really curious because everyone has the same journey and they're following the steps of somebody they're watching online, for example. And I know for a fact that the reason the majority of us feel behind in life is because of social media, of course, because one thing is scrolling on your phone and watching the lives of people across the globe, people who, have completely different circumstances than you. Not to mention, for a lot of people, it's actually fake. It's just a polished version of their own life. They're not going to be telling you where they went wrong or how long it took them to get there. They're not going to be honest with you because social media is just a highlight of their life. And I've started noticing that originality has somewhat slipped away through the majority of our lives. This video is not a blueprint for success because success is original. Success looks something different to everybody else. But I want you to look at this video more of as a tool for clarity. So hello guys, welcome back or welcome to my channel. I hope you're doing all amazing. In today's video, as I've already mentioned, we're gonna be talking about the habits that will set you ahead in life. And not in like a success hustle type of way. No, they're not these classic habits of like being disciplined, working out, and doing time management and working, because I have these videos on my channel already. And before we get on with the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my social media for some more lifestyle and beauty content. Discomfort is always gonna be your shortcut. Many people take the easy route. They take the route that they already know how it's gonna go because it feels easier. But it may feel easier, but is it actually gonna be easier? It's probably just a longer route, but you're more comfortable. On the other hand, discomfort is gonna be uncomfortable for a while, but it's gonna take you way further ahead than being comfortable. And you have to understand something. You're never gonna feel ready. Feeling ready is such a gimmick. No one who actually built success felt ready, because confidence is not a prerequisite. It is a result of your own actions. And if you're an introvert, you're probably thinking, that's easy for you to say. But I will be honest with you, I am very, very introverted. I hate doing uncomfortable things, and I hate stepping out of my comfort zone. Plus, I'm very anxious, so stepping out of my comfort zone is making me very anxious, and it always makes me very panicky. But discomfort is where you grow. Now, it does not matter what discomfort you choose. For me, for example, a very small thing is taking a workout class or taking any other class, just something that you're scared to do. Start doing things that scared you. For me, it was a small example, the workout class or a YouTube channel. That is something that I was so scared my whole life to do. And I was always like, oh, I'm gonna do it when I'm ready, when I have enough money to buy a camera, when my place looks aesthetic, when I have more knowledge, when I blah, 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 blah. I could have started my YouTube channel way, way, way earlier, but I didn't. And now I have to pay for the consequences because I lost a lot of time that, I potentially could have already been on YouTube. That still does not change the fact that starting YouTube was very uncomfortable. It was very scary for me. But it was something that I really wanted to do ever since I was like 13. When I was, I had a YouTube channel when I was like 12, 13. Of course, it was, not good. But what I'm trying to say is you're never gonna feel ready. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It is a decision that something matters more than being uncomfortable. You have to love doing that thing more than the thought of being uncomfortable. Habit number 2 is mastering your time. And I'm not going to be talking about time management here, about color coding, about time blocking. Time is your leverage. Time is like a currency, and a lot of people are spending it like they have $1 million in their bank account. Scrolling, overthinking, doing something that does not really, mean anything to them. They're doing what's urgent, but is not important. One thing that I had to understand, and I had to brutally look at my calendar and think about the day and thinking about where does my time go? Because I have these, a lot of habits, a lot of hobbies, a lot of goals that I want to do. And I'm always like, oh, but there's never enough time. But let's say your goal is to read more on a certain topic or just for fun. You have to stop being a perfectionist with your time. If you have, 10, 20 minutes of spare time, grab that book. If you are commuting, grab that book. Or one thing that I want to learn is making music. I'm, on a train to work or to school. I'm going to use that time to do the habits and the hobbies that I want to do. Because a lot of the times we think, 10 minutes, that's, such a short period of time. But imagine doing something 10 minutes a day for a whole year. Let me actually count how much time that is. 10 minutes a day for a whole year is 60 hours and 50 minutes in total, which is roughly 2.5 days of time. Imagine what you could learn in 2 full days, 2.5 days of vigorous studying. No breaks, no nothing. That's a lot of time. So that it's just 10 minutes a day is a very absurd concept. So for example, you have something that is very important to you and you're, for example, scrolling on TikTok and you see a morning routine of somebody, some aesthetic morning routine, and the routine takes 2 hours. For example, and you're, for example, a student. You don't have 2 hours in the morning to do skincare. Would you rather do that just because it's trendy? Or would you rather do a 30-minute morning routine and have an hour and a half to yourself to do hobbies and work and goals that matter to you. Take a very, very honest and brutal look at what your day goes like. And again, I don't mean this in like a hustle, hustle, hustle type of way, but you cannot use the excuse that you don't have enough time forever. Because one day you actually won't have that time because you're not going to be here anymore, which is very depressing to say, but stop using the excuse you don't have enough time. You can have those 10 minutes a day. You can have those 20 minutes a day. Habit or chapter number 3 is obsession is always going to beat talent. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room, and you don't have to be a born genius to do anything. And I am a very good example of this. I always thought that I was just better at languages than anything else because I went to a language school that my parents paid for, and the minute I went to like a public school, I just assumed that I was never good at natural sciences. That it's just not in my blood, my parents are not good at it, there's nobody in my family, and it's just not my thing. And then somehow I started loving it. And I made a decision, I'm gonna become a scientist. I really got into it. But I kept failing, and I kept failing at school, and everyone around me, including my family, would tell me, you're crazy, this is not, for you, you have talent at something different, this is just not your path. And for the longest time, I really thought that I was just not good enough or smart enough to be a scientist. I did not listen to it either way. And even though I failed a lot when I was younger when it comes to like tests like math, biology, chemistry, and I still failed in my first year of university, I told myself, I love it so much. Why would God put it in my heart for me to not be talented at it? If I'm not supposed to be doing it, why would it be in my heart? Why would God put it there? Why would I want it so bad? And guess what? I'm doing pretty well, I would say. So always remember that obsession is always, always gonna beat talent. And you have so many people around the world who are naturally gifted. And at some point, being naturally gifted is just not gonna be enough anymore. And as I said, when I was small, like very small, and when I started learning languages, everybody would tell me, oh, you're so naturally gifted for learning languages. But as I got older, I kind of stopped learning languages, and I only ended up speaking 3 languages. I was being told that I was naturally gifted, but I did not pursue it in any way. On the other hand, I started pursuing subjects that I was not gifted at all, and I ended up doing way better in the subjects that I'm not gifted at than the subjects where I was naturally gifted. So build your obsession, be proud of it, and make it a part of your identity. The next habit that is going to set you ahead in life is trying everything. Ever since we were kids, our parents told us, pick a niche, pick a subject, pick something that you want to do for the rest of your life. The majority of us niche down way too early, and a lot of us specialize before we even understand ourselves. Most people try to be perfect at one thing, but guess what? The world rewards people who are flexible, who are adaptive, people who have a well-rounded knowledge. Ever since I was a kid, I've had hobbies and interests and subjects that just did not go hand in hand, complete opposites. And right now, again, I do YouTube, I study biology, then I'm in marketing, but I also really love making music, and I'm also really into like animals and art. But what nobody tells you is that having multiple interests, it can be as small as just like hobbies, because hobbies teach us a lot, whether it is actual knowledge or improving our cognitive skills or brain health or anything. Each of those things that you're going to learn, that you're going to master, is going to somehow benefit you in life, whether you know it or not. whether it is now or in the future. And a lot of the times, all these things are gonna click in the future. I always thought that to be successful, I had to focus on one thing and excel at that and succeed in that. And that all of my other goals, I can just tuck them somewhere away and, have them as hobbies, for example, or just something that, I do once in a while. And it always felt like a betrayal, that I am betraying one goal for another. But it doesn't have to be like that. Instead of obsessing over your thing, start trying everything. Everything. Because you still, unless you've tried every single thing on earth, you don't truly know what you're missing out. A lot of us put ourselves in a box, label that box, and never open it again. So many people online are doing the same exact thing, the same exact routines, the same exact businesses. And then a lot of people get the feeling that that's what success means, that's what success is, without trying everything else because it's not trending. So learn an instrument, try coding, learn a sport, take pottery classes, take fashion design classes, take, physics classes, learn that language and learn the Morse code and learn whatever comes to your mind. In my journal, I created a list. I wrote it down of all of the things that I want to learn right now. In the future, it might add on or some things might change, but as of this moment, there are like 15 things on my list that I want to do, that I want to learn, that I want to master. Habit number 5 that is going to set you ahead in life is training your brain. It wouldn't be me if we didn't talk about neurobiology and neuroplasticity in one of my videos, but I just love this topic so much, and I feel like it is linked to every single thing that I want to talk about. But we all talk about going to the gym, eating healthy, and, training our body. But of course, training our body also trains our mind, but we're not training our mind as we used to. But your brain is like an operating system. If it's slow, scattered, if it's just malfunctioning, everything else is gonna suffer. Especially in today's age where our brains are not as engaged as they used to be thanks to ChatGPT and technology and social media. I love all of those things, but our brain is just turning into mush, honestly. So what people don't do a lot is train their brain. This can be puzzles. I recently bought a big box of puzzles and it kept me engaged for like a day. I didn't even check my phone. I was just so into it. But anything that is gonna nourish your brain. I love crosswords. You can do chess, you can do puzzles, you can do Sudoku, you can do, of course, reading, writing, anything that engages your brain. When you train your mind, you become proactive. And I created a new series on my channel called Pretty Girls with Pretty Brains, where we're going to be talking all about neurobiology and neuroplasticity and just like just everything about brains, right? And so I'm gonna link it down below where you can check it out. There's just one video right now, but there's way more coming in the future. But making sure your brain is healthy, that your cognitive functions are sharp, is gonna give you such advantage in today's world especially. Habit number 6 that is gonna bring you ahead in life is definitely gonna be learning to be alone. Now, this is kind of a tricky subject because studies show that we are more alone than we've ever been due to social media. But I'm not talking about being alone in the sense that you are locked in your bedroom, scrolling on your phone all day and watching Netflix. That's not the alone time that I mean. By alone time, I mean solitude. I'm talking about the alone time where you can go outside, be alone without your phone, without any headphones, without any distractions, and be calm. The reason why it's very important to learn how to be alone is because growth is very lonely. And during some of the periods where I really, really focused on myself, in periods where I have to be alone, like studying, I get really lonely, and it's not always the easiest. And this way, you are gonna be at an advantage because you're already gonna know how to handle those emotions. A lot of the times I kept off studying because studying meant I was gonna have to be alone with my own thoughts, with my own brain, and no distractions, no people, and that really scared me. The same, any type of self-improvement journey is gonna be lonely, because either actually lonely because you're gonna be alone, or lonely in the sense that nobody really is gonna understand you. Being in solitude isn't about emptiness. It is about giving yourself space, giving your thoughts space, giving your goals space, and giving your dreams space. It's giving you space to build confidence, not performative confidence, but confidence rooted in you. Because the clarity and the peace and the confidence, they don't come from noise. They come from the silence inside of you. And how you're gonna perform when nobody else is watching, when you're alone, the way you treat yourself when you are alone, and the things you think about when you're alone, that's who you are. A lot of the times in solitude, in silence, and just being alone, isolated, those are the times we figure out who we are. And just to wrap this up, this kind of makes a full circle, right? Because we are more alone than ever, but we are the least original that we've ever been. Everybody looks the same. Everybody has the same hobbies. Everybody has the same career goals, etc., etc. But we're more alone than ever. But we're not really alone, because we're alone physically, but not mentally, because we're on our phones and on our social media. But the minute you get off your phone, you start to connect to yourself. And you start to figure out what you enjoy, what you actually like, what you actually want from life. And figuring that out, you're going to be so happy with yourself, because you're going to stop following steps online. So, it's like a full circle, kind of. And lastly, chapter 7, start creating. I've already talked about this throughout the whole video. You have only one life, and copying somebody else's journey is disrespectful to yourself. Most people are not chasing their own dreams. They're chasing something that looks good on paper, something that looks good online. But comparing your journey, or even worse, not following your own journey, kills authenticity. It silences your voice and it confuses your vision. Stop trying to win a race that is not yours. This world does not need more copies, more people looking the same, more people being influencers, and more people being entrepreneurs. We don't need that. We have a lot of these. Of course, if you want to be that, that's on you. But a lot of us today feel like that's the only success, because that's the only success that we see online. People being entrepreneurs and influencers. But if you sit alone in a room or do your hobbies and you still think about being an influencer or an entrepreneurship, okay, that is your path. But if you suddenly do your hobbies and you realize this is what I want to do, then you are not doing a path that is meant for you. Not to mention time. I am somebody who, as much as I love science and the majority of my beliefs are rooted in science, I truly, truly, with my whole soul, believe that everything happens for a reason. If you give it your all and it still doesn't work out, it's not supposed to be. If you give it your maximum and it's the only thing that you care about and it doesn't work out, that's okay. Because first of all, you have no idea. No, we have no idea how our life is gonna unfold. But a lot of the times, you're gonna look back and you're gonna be so glad it didn't work out. So glad. So stop comparing, stop copying, and stop trying to live somebody else's life. The point isn't to succeed faster, it's to succeed whole, as a whole package, you know, with you, with all your love, with all your hobbies, with all your goals. And guys, that will be all. So guys, that will be all for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'm filming pretty late, so the mood is kind of sleepy. It's very relaxed, it's very cozy. So yeah, let me know down below what you took away from this video. Perhaps share it with somebody you love. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. And don't forget to check out my social media links. And yeah, I love you guys. Bye.